Why live a normal life when you could be living the abundant life? Welcome to the Abundant Life program with Ashley and Carlie Terradez.
Hey, welcome to Abundant Life. Today I'm really excited because we're going to be sharing some of the live conference that we did recently, and you're going to enjoy this teaching. This was recorded live at a conference we did, so sit back and relax and hear the Word of God today. Anyone got a question out there? Who's going to be first? Lady down here. Doug?
Yeah.
First question out here. And I'll look on, while she's answering that, I'll look on Facebook, see if we've got anyone.
I just wanted to know the name of banks that are free.
The name of banks that are free?
The free bank account things.
They vary because one bank might be free 1 month and then the next month it's not. Seriously, no. They won't, what I mean is that they'll do an offer where it's completely free check-in, and that once you get in there, that'll be it. But, they'll keep it free while you're their customer.
Not free money.
No, it's not free money, no. It's just free
I'll
to set...
have that.
No, it's just free to set the account up. There is various local banks. I use local banks. I'm not plugging banks, but I use First Bank is one of the banks I use. They're local in Colorado. I have a completely free check-in where they don't charge me anything. Now, I don't have checks on that certain account. I don't have checks, and I think I have a debit card. That's all I have. And that is completely free. I get no monthly charges, nothing. And I tell them I don't want an inactivity fee, I don't want an overactivity fee, I don't want a lack of use fee, no fees. And most banks, a lot of banks will do that, especially good local banks will do that. So get a free check, and it can be a checking account. It doesn't even have to be a savings account because, there's hardly any interest now. But if you get a little savings account, that's fine, either way. But just make sure it's free. And then just have an automatic, if you get paid, if you're on payroll and you get paid, have a deduction made, and it could be $5 a paycheck. $10 a paycheck, $50 a paycheck. You start doing that. Screw it away. Start doing that. It's amazing what happens. I have a few of these scattered around. I tend to forget about them. And there's one that's $50 a paycheck, I think, goes in there. That's the one down the street. Yeah, we've got 3 or 4 different banks. And anyway, it's not a big amount, but it's a couple of $1,000s. It's like a little rainy day fund. And people say, well, you don't make any money on that. Well, that's not to make money. That's to protect you. So that's insurance. You don't make money on insurance. That's just insurance. If you have $2,000 or $3,000, they say 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in the bank, tucked away, just forget about it, that you can access. That's an insurance policy against a rainy day. So when something happens to you and you're not speaking deaf, but something like a furnace goes out or a transmission goes out and you've got a couple of $1,000s there, that will stop you hitting the credit cards or hitting the loans. So that's just more of a rainy day fund. It's insurance rather than making money. Got a question here, Charlie? Discover Bank?
Yeah, there's no charge, and they pay you for every check you write.
There you go. They pay you for writing check, probably 1 or 2%. Yeah, discover something new. Discover Bank. We should get sponsorship for doing this for mentioning their banks to all these people.
There's advertising space right here.
Yeah. You could there you go. Yeah, you could advertise. Very clever. You was listening.
I was.
You was listening.
It's shocking, isn't it?
She was listening.
Yeah.
I was impressed with that. Okay, she was listening. Any other questions? Anyone got any questions here? Lady there. Thanks, Doug, for running the mic. Let me try and pull my Facebook up here and see if we've got any.
So when you sell things on eBay, what is a normal charge? Because eBay always charges you to sell stuff.
It depends. It's a percentage. So sometimes there's free listings. You can actually put the listing up for free. Most of the cases on eBay. Then when you sell it, there's a percentage of the sale. So when you sell that, and the eBay fees depends what you're selling from cars down to whatever it is. There's different percentages they take. But here's the thing: you are going to have to pay eBay to sell things through eBay, and it's one of those things. And I hear people complain about this all the time. Well, I sold $5,000 on eBay, and I had to write them they sent me a bill for $300 or whatever it was, $500. Here's the thing: you got to understand, eBay is like a virtual store, okay? And they advertise internationally. And they take care of international shipping. They take care of the international money exchange. They take care of all that. There's insurance. Yeah, there's buyer protection. There's insurance. There's all these things. So if you've ever had your own store, like a brick and mortar store, you'll know there's some cost of doing business, right? It's expensive. So I don't mind paying eBay to take care of like I said, the money transfer, the insurance, and also the visibility. I got a friend who used to make a full-time salary selling watches in Brazil. I know Aaron here used to sell watches, but this is someone different from Aaron. Aaron sells the high-end ones. These were brand new watches, and they were like Adidas and all that. And he used to send them to Brazil. The reason why he sold them in Brazil is because eBay was aggressively advertised in Brazil. So all these people on eBay in Brazil saw these American watches they couldn't get in Brazil and paid them like 3 times the price for them. So I don't mind. He made a bunch of money, but he had to give eBay some of that money. So I used to write eBay big, I mean, not checks, I used to send it electronically, but when we used to sell, I had an eBay business in England, we used to turn over a lot. And but I was okay with it because it was like whatever it was back then, I think it was 5% or something. But considering what I got, so eBay's charged. Now, Craigslist is free, but Craigslist is completely different because Craigslist, you have to meet the people and it's different. It's more time consuming. But for bigger items that you can't ship, local items, Craigslist is good.
You get better deals if you're buying, I think, on Craigslist.
Craigslist is good for buying. Stay safe. You know, don't have people around your house where unnecessarily, especially not at night. If you're single, I'm sexist, but if you're a single woman, don't go out at night meeting people. Stuff like use wisdom. I've got all those tips on here. But anyway, but I tell Pete, will give you
this one we made earlier.
There's a whole hour on how to stay safe on Craigslist. But I'm just saying, use wisdom, stay safe. You can make some good money for things like I know people that make like full-time money on things like Craigslist and eBay. So anyone else got any questions? Guy right at the back, Doug, you're going to have to... Oh, no, Josh is there. Look at that. Josh is there.
Hello.
Hi.
I had a question. My friend, he was a Christian. He has actually recently turned atheist.
Okay.
And I was discussing with him, you know, stuff I've
like
learned.
a born-again atheist.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
It's a long process. But I was telling him the stuff I learned over the past year about, you know, how sickness doesn't come from God and, you know, that's actually from Satan. And the first thing he brought up to me was, you know, what about Paul? Originally Saul, you know, when God struck him with blindness. And he gave me a couple of other examples, I guess, in the New Testament where God did dish out some punishment to people. And I really didn't have an answer. And I know there is an answer. I wanted to hear your take on that and get some more information.
We live under a new covenant now, okay? And so the new covenant replaces the old covenant. And even in the Old Testament, there's lots of examples of healing in the Old Testament. Where do you remember where they made the bronze serpent and they put it on the spike? I think it was in Exodus, and they said they looked at the bronze serpent and they were healed. Right? That was a type and shadow of Jesus. So healing is all the way through the Old Testament as well. And Paul's thorn in the flesh is really it's a convenient excuse for the church because they don't see the power of God in their churches. And so you know what people typically do is they'll try and make a doctrine out of something fairly insignificant to cover up for their lack of experience. I mean, sure, you can look at Paul's thorn on the flesh. Actually, that's talking about persecution, I think. You know, where the Lord says, my grace is sufficient for you. Persecution follows the message, right? That is the enemy, okay? The persecution wasn't coming from God, right? There's a few different things in the New Testament as well where there's some people are saying, well, Paul's got an eye infection because of some of the comments he makes. The guy's just been stoned to death the day before, okay? And he's basically risen from the dead, and he's still got a few injuries, you know. He had a bad day the day earlier, but he was dead then, you know, so he's doing pretty well under the circumstances. So, but pretty much the spirit behind that is a religious spirit that brings these things out. And that usually comes from a church or an experience that they have to have something to justify their lack of the supernatural and the experience. But like I said in my teaching, you can look all the way through the New Testament, and Jesus had a healing ministry. So to me, when you look at, you know, and Jesus says, I only do what my Father's doing. You know, I mean, these works and greater the works you'll do. I mean, it's like the nitpicking.
And here's the thing, they could find one verse that seems to be against healing, which Paul's thorn in the flesh, it's not, I don't even think it's sickness, it's talking about persecution. And then you've got like Ananias and Sapphira, it's like, how does that work out? These people just drop dead. I haven't got revelation on that, I know some people have. I think it could be a number of things. I mean, one thing could be, you know, Paul cursed them and they dropped dead, they lied. I mean, there's a number of different things, maybe it was shock, there's all different things. Who knows? But for those two things, and I understand Paul's thorn in the flesh, that's not a problem, but Ananias and Sapphira, I can't get my understanding fully around that. God of grace, for that to happen to them, I don't get my mind fully around that. But for that one thing that I can't get my mind around, there is literally hundreds and hundreds of scriptures that Jesus healed them all. You know, God's a God of healing. I am your healer. That's
I am willing.
I am willing, yeah, if it be your will, I am willing. Jesus never turned healing away from anyone. Everyone who came to Jesus was healed. Every single person. And, you know, and he said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. I mean, Jesus is the perfect representation of the Father on earth. And he healed everyone that came to him. And at the end of the day, I have to reconcile it like this. Say, God is a good God and he's a loving God, and he only does good things and loving things with children. Even in the Old Testament, people say, well, like one of our kids was asking us about the angel of death the other day.
Passover.
Passover. In the Old Testament, they didn't even understand about the devil. They just thought everything come from God. So they wrote about everything coming from God. Okay, so, but even in the Old Testament, you could see a God of healing and a God of grace in the Old Testament. And certainly in the New Testament, when Jesus gives that clarity, I'm convinced God is a good, loving God. And I'm convinced it's God's will to heal every time and without exception. He's a good, loving Father, and he wants to heal every time without exception. So with the little things like that, it doesn't bother me too much, because I know we'll understand one day about that. But definitely fall in the flesh, that's easy. In fact, Andrew Womack's got a teaching on Paul's fall in the flesh.
Yep.
It goes into it for an hour or two and explain how it's persecution, it's not sickness.
Yesterday, I had a similar experience when we were on the streets witnessing to people with Steve Bartlett. And there was a lady in a wheelchair, and she was, we wanted to pray over her for healing, and she would not receive it because she kept saying, no, this is God's will. But the thing that really got me was she goes, well, why doesn't God just go to the children's hospital and heal all the children that have cancer? And I just didn't know how to answer that.
It's because he's given us the authority to do that. He's given us the authority to do that.
And the short answer is, if God was to get rid of, if God's all loving and all good, why don't he just get rid of all sickness, get rid of all evil? He'd have to wipe out the human race. I'm just being serious. That's God's given man. God was so powerful that he delegated some of his power to mankind and gave them free will. And in giving them free will, we had the choice to do things. I'm not saying it's people's choice to be sick, but sickness is just part of the fall. It's part of what happened when people made when Adam and Eve made the bad choice. So at the end of the day, people have free will, and God isn't going to. I say God can't. People freak out and I say God can't. But really, God can't now. He's tied himself to his own word, and he will not violate people's free will. God says he's not willing that one should perish. He wants everyone to come to repentance and to the knowledge of him. But everyone isn't saved. Everyone's not going to heaven, even though it's God's will for every single person to go to heaven. God didn't even design hell for mankind. God designed hell for the demons. Hell's not even made for the lake of fire. Is not even made. He never intended one person to go to hell. But because of free will and they're choosing to reject Jesus, he's tied now. He's tied by his own word. So for me, sickness, God can't just come down and supernaturally cure all the sickness, because that would mean eradicating evil and overriding people's free will. And he can't do that.
Right. And here's the thing. You know, we need to, as believers, we need to stand up and stop asking God to do something for us that he's asked us to do. Right? So this is in Luke 9, verse 1. It says, then he gave his 12 disciples... He called his 12 disciples together and gave them power and authority over all demons and to cure diseases. And he sent them to preach the kingdom of God and to heal the sick. He sent them to heal the sick, not pray for the sick. That's subtle, but that's really important. We're supposed to go and heal the sick, right? And if you study this out, those words, power and authority, that's talking about dunamis. That's miracle-working power. The word for power is actually miracle-working power, dunamis. And the word for authority is exousia. That means the right to govern, the right to rule and reign, jurisdiction. So not only in the response to the huge and overwhelming need that Jesus was seeing, he realized, you know, and there's plenty of other examples of that he needed to duplicate himself, that his time here on earth was going to be short. And so he needed to duplicate himself, and this is discipleship. He needed to mentor his disciples and give them power and them authority to go out and be mini Jesuses in the world, right? And so he's charging them, giving them not only the miracle-working power, but the authority to cure diseases and heal the sick.
Amen.
Amen.
Good answer. And, you know, one time Jesus was healing people, and he said in this town he could not do many mighty works because of their unbelief.
Yep.
So Jesus was a perfect representation of God, and yet he was in a situation where he couldn't see people healed fully because of their unbelief. You
know, no one's going to be healed against their will. You know that? You can't be saved against your will, and healing and salvation come in the same package. They're part of the same atonement, right? So if in the same way that no one could force you to believe in Jesus and get saved, we can't force anyone to receive their healing. And so God is not going to force us, like Ashley was saying. We have free will to receive Jesus. We have free will to whether we receive healing or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Could you clarify again how to get started in budgeting?
Get started in budgeting. I would probably, the first thing I would do is get a free app. There's Dave Ramsey's got a great ministry, a great message out there, and I've got no qualms in telling you that he's the best in getting people out of debt out of consumer debt.
He has a system
and on a budget.
to do
He has
that.
a system to do that with his Financial Peace University and things like that. He doesn't go into the supernatural prosperity side of things. I mean, he'll talk on giving and stuff, but he won't go. So I don't want people to get stuck there in just monitoring their income. I want people to go beyond that. But he's got great tools out there. One of them's called Every Dollar. So it's Every Dollar, and it's an app, and you can do it on the computer or on the phone.
I have it on my cell phone.
It will track all your expenses, and you'll enter them in there, all your expenses and all your income, and you can see. But I would, however you do it, whether it's on an Excel spreadsheet, whether it's on an app, just start basically. When things come in and things go out, start listing all those. And then once you get a handle on that, then you can actually plan ahead for the month ahead. So the idea of a budget is you sit down before the next month and say, okay, this is coming in and this is where we want our money to go. So rather than your money just disappearing, you tell it where to go. Okay, well, we're going to spend this on this. And you can start prioritizing things and actually have things in priority. And then like your savings and your giving should be right up there before these little things. And then if you don't have enough money at the end of the month, it's the little insignificant things that go by the wayside rather than your giving and your saving. So that's how I would do it. Start simple, keep it simple. I'm a big believer in keep it simple, saints. So, yes, sir.
I'm just curious on your buy, sell, repeat. It's kind of a two-part question. You started with the empty box.
Yeah.
And you have got about $7,000 now. I'm curious about how long did that take? And second part, your goal is to buy a house.
Yeah.
What is your goal time-wise, roughly? I don't know if there is a roughly for that to accomplish that.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I haven't done it for a while. I actually got up, I was teaching the business school, and I told them, I'm going to turn this empty box into a $2,000 computer. And that took me, I think it was around 2 months. It was like November to January. And it wasn't, I mean, I'm doing this now and again. I clocked my time. Yeah, just now and again on the weekend. I actually clocked my time.
It's just making money. Hobby.
Yeah, and I'm on like $200 an hour. I mean, it really doesn't take me long. I clocked all my time that I was taking on this. I made people come and meet me and things like that. So I didn't spend much time on I mean, some of them took an hour or two. Some of them took, 10, 20 minutes. So it depends. But time frame, that was a year or so ago. Now, I haven't done it for probably 6 months. We need to get back on it again to get doing this because I've told everyone to buy a house. I better do it. I told everyone I was going to buy a computer. I got the money for a computer. Everyone was impressed. Then I said, I'm going to buy a car, and I got a nice car. Now I've told everyone to buy a house. So I've got, you probably need 100,000 or so to buy a house for cash in, Pueblo, probably 50,000, 60,000. Here, probably 100, 150,000. So, but it's exponential. I've done this so many times since I was 20, really. But I've never documented it to show a project. I've never showed like a project, the same money. It's always been little business ventures and I've had little things going on. But this is actually the same amount of money, the same money I got from that box is going to go all the way through to a house. This one's been tracked. So I do need to get back on it again. I will be getting back on it and I'll have a bit more time free. So I'll get back on that to, now I'm not working 60-hour weeks. I can get back on that. I can start buying and selling stuff again.
There you go.
Buy us another house for cash. One of our goals is to have a paid-for house for each of our kids. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So we believe we'll have 3 paid-for nice houses. We've got 1, we've got 2 to go. So I will get back on it, though. So, it varies. Most people can go away on a weekend and with some thrift stores and some Craigslist and some eBay, they can make, it depends what type of stuff they got, but they can make $1,000 on a weekend. Net profit, pretty easily. I mean, it's once you start learning it, there's no reason why you could make $1,000 a weekend. You did it on a Friday and a Saturday or something, you can do that.
And here's the thing, we just feel like led to do things a little bit differently from the world. The world would say, why don't you just go get a mortgage? You've got all the equity in your home, you go get a mortgage and you can go and leverage yourself and get all different kinds of properties. And the Lord's just really and this is just what He said to us. This isn't for everyone, but He's just said to us, I'm your bank and we do things differently. So we're not going to have a mortgage again. So we just decided we're just not going to do that. We paid 1 mortgage off. We're going to save up and buy houses for cash. So, I don't know. World says it's impossible, but I think it's Jesus. So.
Hi.
Hello.
So about 9 or 10 months ago, I kind of found out that healing was in Christ's atonement. I was raised Baptist. And
me too.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
But I've been meditating on the scriptures and listening to sermons, constantly. But when I'm like, okay, I'm ready, I almost tense up and it's almost fear. Like, what would I even do with this healing? Like because I've been sick for so long or just struggling with that. Like, does that make sense? I'm just asking, how to get rid of that fear of almost being healed. I mean,
You know, it's really normal for people to be afraid of something they don't understand, okay? And I went through the same thing, and that's my testimony for that. It took me a period of a couple of weeks for me to, my whole brain, you know, when you've been stuck in something for such a long time, it's your thinking that becomes sick, right? And it takes a while. You know, in Romans 12, verse 1 and 2, it says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You know, so as we get into the scriptures and we meditate on the truth, slowly, without us even really knowing it sometimes, our mind starts to become unlocked as it starts to get renewed. And that fear will go. I mean, perfect love casts out fear, right? But some of it as well is you got to retrain your thinking. You know, in the scriptures it says you've got to take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. So when something comes into your brain like, you know, you're not worthy, how's that going to work? What are you going to do with it anyway? That's not God. Right? That's either from the enemy or that's from your flesh, from your old way of thinking that you're trying to renew your mind to get over. So then, you know, you might have a handful of key scriptures. That identity card's actually really good for that. It's a really good, useful tool for helping you to renew your mind to the truth. But when those things come back, you say, you know what? I need to walk in healing because that's God's best for me, right? It's His will that I be healed, and I'm going to walk in His perfect will. I mean, He just loves you. For no other reason, you know, than that He's crazy about you. That's good enough reason to deserve healing, right? So it's a free gift. It's like, put it like this. If somebody came and they gave you presents at Christmas time, you wouldn't leave them under the tree unwrapped, would you? Healing's a gift. I mean, in my house, it's like get up in the morning, get the presents open, right? I mean, you want to open those, you want to use them. It's like if we don't receive everything that God has for us, I mean, God's not going to love us any less. You know, we're still going to heaven, praise Jesus, but we're missing out on something that's really good that's from God. So, but yeah, you can get over that fear. It's no problem.
Amen. There's a guy down the front. I'm going to answer a real quick Facebook question here. Lolita, I believe. She says, or he says, should I give off the 10%? It says burrito, and then netto, but I think what it means
burrito?
Yeah, but I think it's autocorrect. That's gross, I looked it up. So 10% from my gross income or my net income? That's his question.
He's speaking Spanish?
Burrito or netto? Oh. Maybe it's burrito, gross?
Burrito, big burrito.
I like burritos. I like burrito. Spanish speaking here.
I love Mexican.
I like burritos. There you go. Anyway,
get hungry.
I think what you mean is, Lisa, is gross or net income. And I type a joke and say, do you want gross or net harvest? But actually, joking apart, if it's a business, I would tithe. So if the business comes, say you've got a business and your business makes $10,000, I would tithe off that $10,000. But if $100,000 come in and you had $90,000 of expenses, you made $10,000, I would tithe off that $10,000. I wouldn't tithe off the $100,000 that come in. Now, I wouldn't tithe. I would tithe before I pay taxes, though. So I would actually tithe my net, if you like, before I've paid my income taxes. So that's how I would do it personally. That is like gross income in a way, but a business income. Don't get confused between gross income. When you say gross in business, it means your turnover.
So gross profits.
Yeah, gross profits, not gross turnover. Gross turnover would be, if you've got the faith for tithing off of gross turnover, and it's the type of business you can, then go for it. But some businesses, you know, you'd be tithing 3 times the profit because you know, you've got expenses to pay. So that's how I would do it. So with my personal income, I tithe before I pay my income taxes. Just like when you're in a restaurant, you should tithe before you use the coupon. No, not tithe, tip.
Tip.
Tip before you use the coupon. Don't tithe. We'll probably do tithe to some.
You should be tithing more than that in a restaurant.
Yeah, you should tip 20%. It's a lot easier than messing around with 18%. Yeah, but what I'm saying is you know, you should. So anyway, I always tithe. I don't know how I got off on restaurants. Maybe I'm hungry.
You're hungry.
I tithe before taxes. I tithe off my gross income, but I wouldn't tithe off gross turnover in a business, is what I'm saying. Little practical thing there.
Okay.
And the restaurant thing is, if you pay with a coupon, tip like there was no coupon.
Yes.
Any servers there, you know what I mean? If it's buy one, get one free, and you would have spent $30, but now it's like going to be $10, don't give them 20% $10, give them 20% of the $30.
That's right. Otherwise, you might get reduced service.
Reduce it. Well, it's just godly. It's just godly. People, all servers say that Sunday's the worst time to rate tables because all the church crowd.
That's terrible.
That's terrible. So if you go to a restaurant, 20%, and if you can't afford it, go to a different restaurant or don't have drinks and order something small. And if it's bad service, still give them 20% and say, you know what, I believe in grace. And even though you probably haven't had your best day today, I'm still going to tip you well. And then sometimes you can tip 50%, 100%. We've tipped 100%.
But don't tip them badly and then slip a track.
Yeah, Jesus loves you.
That's really tacky.
Yeah, don't do that. That's really bad.
No,
So,
we will hunt you down and find you.
any other questions? Lady here. Or where are we at next? There's a lady right there in the middle.
They're coming your way.
Yes. Back to healing again. Do you believe that something like scoliosis requires deliverance?
You know what? People get really hung up on whether you need a healing or whether you need a deliverance, but the answer is still Jesus, right? So when we're praying for people, I'm focusing on the answer. You know, I'm speaking to the problem. I'm treating it exactly how you know, I'm just commanding scoliosis to straighten up. Scoliosis got to leave. The spine's got to straighten up, right? Jesus is the answer. We don't have to worry about the technicalities. You know, Jesus knows how to get the job done. So.
And as Jesus ministered, he ministered in different ways. So sometimes I'll be praying for someone and I'll feel the need to minister in a different way. And you
need to be led by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, tell that disease to leave and things like that. So.
But you know, that when I pray for people, I'm always listening to them with one ear, the other ear I'm listening to the Lord. And you know, you can't minister cookie cutter, right? When Jesus ministered, you know, he didn't have a formula that he followed every time, and he just treats everyone as an individual. And you know, you minister as you're led, and sometimes, like you're right, you know, sometimes the Holy Spirit will say, you know what, this is a deliverance issue. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Just be listening.
Ministering the gifts of the Spirit, that's really where the power's at. If you minister and you listen for words of knowledge, word of wisdom, or things like that, that will really help you to minister effectively. Because I've ministered to people and thought it was one thing, and then the Holy Spirit would tell me something else, told them that, and it's got to the root, and it's something completely different.
Actually,
Holy Spirit knows how to minister.
I've seen a lot of people healed of scoliosis, and I can't remember one of those cases that was deliverance.
If you enjoyed this teaching, visit our website today to order the complete series, terradezministries.com.
Wow, wasn't that a powerful teaching? You know, I hope you received from that teaching there. You know, you can go to our website, Terradez Ministries, and find out more. You can find out when we've got a live event in your area. You can also go on there and find out about our products and about our resources. But I know you've been encouraged by the word today, so thanks for joining us. And until next time, remember, Jesus wants you to live the abundant life.
If you have been blessed by this program, we invite you to donate and partner with Terradez Ministries. Visit our website, terradezministries.com, and become a partner today. Coming up next on the Abundant Life program.
You need to see it in the Word of God. We need to see it in the Word of God. We need evidence, amen? Yeah. And so let's start here this is in 3 John verse 2, and it says, Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health just as your soul prospers. In other words, we're going to see prosperity in our physical body, but it's linked to how we're thinking. You see, our soul is the seat of our mind, will, and emotions. So in other words, as we start to think prosperously, right, we're going to start to see prosperity in our flesh. Okay. Now, there's financial prosperity as well, but specifically in this series, we're dealing with physical, with healing, with physical prosperity in a sense. But that prosperity in our physical body is linked to how we think in our soul, in our mind, will, and emotions. So how we think about healing directly influences what we can receive in the area of healing. I hope that makes sense.
Join us next time for the Abundant Life program with Ashley and Carlie Terradez.